Well, ladies and gentlemen, we did have another one of those elusive Kamala Harris interviews. They're very rare, but they do happen, and this one happened with MSNBC. It is funny because I saw before the interview started that the interviewer, this lady who they were more impressed with her than Kamala during the interview. But I mean, she is a pure Democratic mascot. MSNBC, the way they do things, I mean, at least CNN with Dana Bash, they try and appear impartial. I don't know, maybe it is better MSNBC comes out and admits that they're left wing, but this lady, I mean, she was hating on Trump. She loves Kamala. I mean, it was obvious that she was clearly biased. But even during this interview, I mean, she did ask her about the border. Kamala Harris has zero answers. You've also got this. I'm going to play some different clips from what was happening last night on MSNBC, because it really is crazy how even MSNBC, this is something, imagine they had Hillary Clinton for an interview. That's their god. That's like their queen. They would never disparage her. But even these people are like, this lady is really not impressive. Now, obviously, they would still say, oh, she's so much better than Trump. But it is just funny to see even MSNBC say, there's just nothing special about her.
Question. Talk about that answer. I do, but here's what's a little tricky. She doesn't answer the question around if the GOP is controlling the Senate, if she can't raise corporate taxes, where is she going to get the money from?
She'll raise taxes.
To expand the child tax credit and do all the things she wants to do. And she says, we just have to do it. And that's great, and that's a campaign promise. But the issue is, if it means we're just going to borrow again, then what
I don't understand why we keep doing this and we can't just cut to the actual point. Oh, she's going to raise taxes, not just among the people that make over 400K, not just among the billionaires. She will raise taxes on everyone. Why do you think they won't talk about 2025 being the year where Trump's 2017 tax plan, which lowered taxes, not just for the rich, because they always said, oh, it lowered taxes for the rich. It lowered taxes for everyone in 2017. That was a Trump campaign promise and it got enacted. It was also a Jobs Act that Trump put forth. And when that comes up in 2025, they're not renewing it. They've already said it. They are raising taxes on everyone. They can't say it. So what you're seeing with this interview is her getting exposed for not really having an answer for how she's going to pay for any of these social bullshit programs. What about the $25,000 down payment for first-time home buyers? That's basically an immigrant policy. First time, first generation. So how she's going to pay for it is by raising everyone's taxes. And it's now, so now the billionaires are going to start paying. They didn't pay under Obama. They didn't pay under any of the Democrats, but now they're going to start paying. It's complete bullshit. The middle class will get saddled with this. They're not going to renew Trump's 2017 tax plan, which lowered taxes on everyone. They can't admit it. She can't admit it. So this interviewer, this is a good dynamic to understand. She's saying, she's admitting, this is MSNBC. They're admitting she doesn't have a plan. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's just saying it has to come down because Kamala has been coached by her advisors to not say we're going to raise taxes on, everyone or on the middle class. That's why when she talks about raising taxes, it's just paying your fair share. And it's just the rich people that have to pay, when in reality, we always know what ends up happening. And we can tell by the fact that they will not be renewing Trump's 2017 tax plan, which Trump has already said that's something that's coming up in 2025. And Trump for sure wants that to continue, which cut taxes for everyone. That's not being renewed. They can't talk about that though. So instead they do the campaign slogans. And this was just a horrible answer. She should have just defaulted to her talking point, which is, oh, the rich people are going to pay. And I think if she eventually did do that, but still just not a good answer. Here, let's see what this clip is.
And assistance to state and local governments around transit dollars, and looking holistically at the connection between that and housing, and looking holistically at the incentives we in the federal government can create for local and state governments to actually engage in planning in a holistic manner that includes prioritizing.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know if this was just because she does do this sometimes where she'll say the same word 3 times in the span of a sentence, like holistically. I don't know if it would be funny if like their campaign was like, listen, when it comes to this, you need to say the word holistically. And then she just says it, like she tries to emphasize it. So she says, I don't know if that's the case, but it would be funny if they were like, oh, you got to say this word because it's good politics. We have a broken immigration. Listen, I give MSNBC credit for actually asking a question about immigration. Anytime you ask one of these questions, it's horrible for the Democrats.
There are people there that are stressed, that feel that they're at capacity. Communities around the country that have legal immigration, many have said we're at capacity. And many feel like the government has said to them, well, adapt, sit down, be quiet.
They're over capacity.
This is how it is. What would a Harris administration
You think Springfield's over capacity?
do for those communities who've taken in many, many legal immigrants but are at capacity?
Give them amnesty?
Well, first of all, we do have a broken immigration system, and it needs to be fixed.
She has to admit
and
it.
if we take a step back, months ago, some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress came together with others, proposed a border security.
Right, and so I'll explain the entire dynamic of this in a minute. What Kamala Harris is saying is that Donald Trump didn't want to pass this new border bill, when in reality, there's so many dynamics at play. Number one, and this is what the next question should have been. She doesn't ask this, but honestly, nobody asked this to the Democrats, but this is what should be asked, because this is the real dynamic of the entire thing. When Donald Trump left office in 2020, he was correct when he said immigration was not an issue in 2020 because he solved it. The illegal immigration was at its lowest point ever. It was not a topic in 2020. That's part of the reason probably why he lost, along with the pandemic. But going into 2021, you had Biden, you had Harris and their administration, and the Democratic viewpoint. It was the whole dreamers. It was, we need to let more people into the country. It was, we've got this horrible wall. I mean, remember they said we're not funding the wall anymore. Democrats cheered, they rejoiced, they scrapped the parts that were going to be used to complete the wall. That was their viewpoint in 2021. And Biden came in office and he wrote a bunch of executive orders. One of them that completely killed all of Trump's border policies that really stabilized the border and stopped the illegal immigration. And so that is when the problem started. They created the problem, and then they're blaming Trump for not fixing their own problem. These people created the problem. There was no problem in 2020. Why doesn't you have to ask her, you created the issue. Do you remember the executive orders in 2021? That's what caused all of this illegal immigration. We've got record crazy numbers of illegal immigration. So now you're saying Donald Trump, who has technically no political power right now, in just the common sense, it's not like he's the governor anywhere or anything like that. He's just a presidential. You're blaming him for your mess ups, when even in that bill, the big bill that they talk about that Donald Trump didn't want to see happen, there was amnesty for illegals, which makes no sense, by the way. If you're trying to get tougher on the border and on illegal immigration, why would you reward the people that have already committed the crime that are here illegally? That makes no sense. It makes no logical sense. There's also, the other thing is, there's never any questions about the amnesty she wants to give all the illegals. You're saying you're going to be tough on the border. You're giving amnesty to like 15 million illegals, lady. What is the point? They're already in the country. So see, you understand the inconsistencies here, but this is the exact point that they shift to, and it's not a point. You're blaming Trump when he has no power over anything technically right now. It's not like he can veto bills, and you're saying he's the big bad guy. Well, number one, you created the problem. Remember, they gaslit everyone, said Trump was racist with the wall, and they hated the wall. Now they like it because of how bad immigration is, and they're forced to like it. Again, the only reason these people are playing ball with immigration is because they have to, otherwise they will not win. So they understand that they have to say, all right, the immigration system is broken. You have to say that. If you say everything's fine, your head's going to be in the sand and you're going to lose the election. They're obsessed with power, so they have to appeal to these independent people. And Kamala Harris has to come out with all these independent policies and ideas now, and she's gone so much more, to the middle than she's been in her career, because they're trying to hang on to power and they need all the independent vote and they need the Rust Belt vote.
Bill that would have put 1,500 new border agents on the border to help those hardworking border agents who are there right now working around the clock. Would have put more money into stemming the flow of fentanyl, which is killing.
And so here comes the guilt trip. Trump didn't want to pass this bill, and now people are dying. Really, honey? Seriously? Your administration has let in millions and millions of illegals by design. This is all design, and now, oh my God, we're getting this token Democratic, we care about immigration. Guys, please do not fall for this. This is total bullshit. For 3.5 years, they let in anyone that could walk into this country illegally and said you were racist if you opposed it. And now, because they have to cling to power and they need these independent white voters, they're trying to suck up to them and say, oh, now, you know what, 3.5 years, we didn't give a shit. We had record high inflation, but now the voter, we care about you, you dumb white person. We care about you. No, they don't. It's total bullshit. They're just trying to win. They'll go back to the exact same shit and the exact same policies they had. I mean, they're practically saying it. They're going to give amnesty to everyone. It's not like they're deporting the illegals. They're giving them amnesty. There's no talk of them getting amnesty. There's none. And then this was kind of the big clip that people were talking about.
Tax credit, or
on the other side.
Expanding that child tax credit, or you mentioned housing before, giving that extra money for a first home. If you can't raise corporate taxes, or if GOP takes control of the Senate, where do you get the money to do that? Do you still go forward with those plans and borrow?
Well, but we're going to have to raise corporate taxes, and we're going to have to make sure that the biggest corporations and billionaires pay their fair share. That's just it. It's about paying their fair share. I am not mad at anyone for achieving success, but everyone should pay their fair share. And it is not right that the teachers and the firefighters that I meet every day across our country are paying a higher tax than the richest people in our country.
And of course, the dynamics of that are complex and not something she's going to solve, with rich people understanding ways to get around loopholes, things like that. Those are not all going to be closed under Kamala Harris. That is absurd to say that. So it's going to end up falling back on the middle class again, just like it always is, but you can't say it because it would look bad and it would cause her to lose the election. So they're doing this, guys, oh, we're going to pay for all these social programs one way or another. It's going to be all the billionaires that have to wake up and pay the most taxes, even though, you look at, they're the ones in the tax bracket, they're the highest taxed. So listen, when it comes to any of this stuff, it's just the constant, the problem is, it's not like she was ever tested. There's no primary process. There's no debates. There's nothing. They just installed her into this position that she's clearly not fit for. At least when it came to the, Hillary and Biden, they at least went through the primary process. They had the debates and they had some type of platform. With Harris, it's just like she's adopted all of the Biden stuff, but she says she's not Biden because she has to kind of distance herself. It's such a weird dynamic. It's like she's with Biden and Biden is on The View. And by the way, I don't know if people saw what Biden said, but Biden basically confirmed on The View that yes, he was forced out and he didn't want to leave, but they forced him out. And he also said that, oh, Kamala, she's almost done more than me. He's given a lot of the power to her in terms of how she wants to run things. So yes, this is her administration. Of course it is. Biden is a crippled corpse. He can barely string two sentences together. He could barely do it 3 years ago. He needed significant help, and so the VP is going to help, even though you could argue the VP is a very powerless position. In this case with Biden and how old he was, there's going to be an impact. And also, it's not like Kamala Harris is really going to do anything different in terms of, imagine the power structure and the power dynamic within the Democratic Party. Do we really think Kamala Harris is going to stand up to any establishment Democrat when the only reason she's in this position, number one, was because of DEI, and number two, because the establishment quite literally forced out Biden. Otherwise, she would not be here. So she is a servant to the establishment because she owes them. It's not like she has any core support that she's built up, grassroots or anything like that. No, they got her. She was the VP because of DEI, because Biden is an old white dude and you need to pair him with a minority female. And then now she's in because of how bad Biden was and she didn't win a single vote. So she has no leverage over any establishment Democrat. That's why she, just like Biden, and honestly for maybe different reasons, Biden was just ridiculously old. He was going to have to go along with anything they wanted. Harris is, she has no legitimate power because she has no movement. So it's just her movement is just the Democratic cog establishment movement. And whatever they want, she has to push forward. So it's not like this is going to be anything unique. It's going to be anything really different than Biden. It's just the Democratic establishment, what they want, and the Democratic elitists. And so that's really what the Biden administration was. And that's what Kamala is going to continue. And that's why Russia, Ukraine, the situation is so dire with Harris, because there's no sign right now with Biden and that administration. It's really the administration. It's not Biden himself. But there's no sign of any type of peace deal. They're sending $8 billion to Ukraine, and it's a big problem. The more that war goes on, the more the Middle East gets going. That's the last thing we need. We want Trump to come in to at least start the dialogue on some type of negotiation for peace with those two countries. Obviously, it's extremely hard to do something like that. I'm not saying Trump says he's going to do it in a day. That's a campaign slogan, but it doesn't even matter if Trump does it in a day or not. We just want dialogue for peace. With the Democrats, we're getting none of that, and that's the big issue. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.